You know that moment in session when your client cracks a smile through the tears and you can feel their shift land in your body like it's happening to you too? Hi, I'm Jenny Hughes, founder of the Brave Trauma Therapist Collective, and I talk a lot about the toll that this work takes on us. But this video is about the moments that give you something back, not because they cancel out the hard stuff, but because these moments remind us that we're in this together, human to human. That moment I just described is an example of something called vicarious resilience. And it's what happens in session when your client takes a risk towards healing, and then something inside of you responds, not just as a therapist, but as a human. And this isn't performative, look at the bright side kind of shit. It is a real nervous system level impact that we get to experience in our work as trauma therapists. How cool is that? The term vicarious resilience was coined back in 2007 by a group of researchers who were studying trauma therapists working with survivors of torture and kidnapping. That's intense, right? And their research did not set out looking for or at vicarious resilience. They were looking at things like vicarious trauma, secondary traumatic stress, burnout, obvious, right? But as they started interviewing these trauma therapists, new themes started to emerge. And the researchers realized that these therapists weren't just being negatively impacted by the trauma work, they were changed by witnessing their clients' recovery. Hernandez and her research group found therapists saying over again how empowered they felt as a result of serving these clients, how nourished they as therapists felt because of the work. In some later research, the group were reported on changes to the trauma therapist's spirituality, experience of self care, the importance that these trauma therapists placed on community after having experienced vicarious resilience, among other things. That's the 2016 study. And what came initially as a surprise to the researchers ended up being a super important missing piece to what it means to thrive as a trauma therapist. And now I want to be super clear with this. Vicarious resilience does not undo vicarious trauma. It doesn't cancel it out or erase it. And in fact, they're not even opposites. They're actually two sides of the same coin of our human experience. That's because they both come from empathic engagement. And you literally then cannot access one without the other. You can't get the good stuff in vicarious resilience if you're not also open to what is naturally happening with vicarious trauma. And they're both going to happen when you stay present in your work, when you're deeply connected with the people that you're serving. And when that happens, something really truly does shift in our brains and bodies. Your mirror neurons start to fire. Your nervous system will co-regulate with your clients. Have you noticed how your breathing will sync up with a client and how your breath can impact them too? This is all empathic engagement. And its impact is not just emotional, it's biological, it's neurobiological. And now, if you're like most trauma therapists, you've probably never even heard of vicarious resilience, and that's okay. In my trainings, I always ask people if they've heard of it, and usually only a few hands go up, and most of them know me. That said, I have made it my mission to make sure that all trauma therapists learn about vicarious resilience because it is literally the key to our work. And even now that you know what it is from an academic standpoint, I'm betting that you are wondering, how the hell do I know when it's happening? How do I recognize it in my work? And this can be tough at first because it's not an A to B recipe. It's not something that happens only when clients graduate from therapy or make some big breakthrough. In fact, it's way more likely to happen during those small moments, like the one that we started with. For this reason, I teach trauma therapists to start noticing and tracking vicarious resilience in their bodies first, to notice the warm fuzzies, the tears of gratitude, the dopey grins, and to remember that it doesn't necessarily matter why it's happening, only that it is, and that it's happening because of your deep empathic connection with your client. Over time, once you start to see it, you can kind of track it. And then something really, really beautiful happens. You can start to feel it in the moment. And this is key. So listen up. When you feel that shift, when your client's healing moves through you, pause, let it land, not as something to analyze, but to notice, to feel, to see where is it in your body? Okay. Is it your chest opening, those warm fuzzies? Is your jaws finally softening? This is one way that we can install these moments of vicarious resilience by really knowing where it's happening in our body in the moment. It's how we let vicarious resilience become part of our healing too. But the real power of vicarious resilience does not stop here because its magic is in sharing it with other trauma therapists, or as I like to say, enhancing vicarious resilience. And this is the part that most trauma therapists miss. Understandably, I get it. We feel something powerful in session, but we never say it out loud or we don't have anyone to tell. So, here's what I teach inside the Brave Trauma Therapist Collective to enhance vicarious resilience, to make it a renewable energy source, something that will continue to fuel you without having to add more stuff to your to do list. You have to share it. You get to name it. You get to tell the story to make it real. You get to say, you won't believe what happened in my session today. And when you do that with another trauma therapist who gets it, not only does it become more real in your own brain and body, but that other trauma therapist gets to vicariously experience your vicarious resilience. That's insane, huh? But that's how it multiplies. That's how it sustains us. So try this out for yourself right now. Think about a moment today or in the past week, past month, when a client surprised you. Something changed, something shifted just ever so slightly in your body. Now, ask yourself, what was it that changed? What part of your body remembers it right now? That's where you're going to be feeling this as you bring up this recent experience with a client. If you can, write it down, okay? So you can really install it for your brain and body. And then you can start enhancing vicarious resilience right now by telling us in what happened for you. No PHI, of course, but just share it with what it was like for you to experience vicarious resilience. And when you hit post or send, notice what it's like to know that you're sharing this with other trauma therapists, that you're going to have a positive impact on them too. And if you want a more concrete tool to really help you start noticing these moments, I made something called the soft transitions exercise to give you a leg up in this work here. It's linked below in the description, and it's going to help you notice moments of vicarious resilience as you reflect at the end of the day. And then prepare your brain and body to transition to whatever you have next, because we all have the next thing. I've also added an AI chatbot that is there to help you go even deeper or to help you get unstuck. It's trained on everything I teach about vicarious resilience. So it's kind of like you're picking my brain in real time. And if you want a space to actually share what you notice, Brave is here for that too. Now, as we wrap this video up, remember, you do not have to go looking for vicarious resilience. It's already there in every single session. And now you have the tools that you need to start noticing it and sharing it too.